And even though the Mavic Mini doesn't have full manual control over video, shortly after posting my ND filter video where I talk about the Mini not having manual exposure for video, there's a firmware release and the Mini now has manual exposure for video. Bad timing aside, using ND filters with your Mini just got a heck of a lot easier. Today I'm going to touch on that new manual exposure feature and share one thing that I think DJI still needs to fix. In order to use the new features, manual exposure for video and manual white balance, you need to make sure your DJI Fly app is version 1.08 or later, and you need the 0500 firmware update. Once you have both of those, you're good to go. Manual control for video is exactly where you'd expect to find it. When in video mode, just tap on the camera mode switch in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen to toggle between auto and manual exposure. You'll see three controls: shutter, ISO, and MM. On the third control, the MM stands for manual mode and it cannot be adjusted. It's basically there to show you the difference between the exposure you've set and what the Mini thinks the correct exposure should be. Manual exposure settings for video, or photo for that matter, are persistent. So if you switch between auto and manual camera modes, photo or video mode, or even reboot the Mini, those values do not get reset. To me, that's perfect and exactly how they should work. One great thing about the DJI Fly app in general is that the camera controls, the ones you need all the time, are just right where you need them, right at your fingertips. I think back to my days with the Spark and the DJI Go app where you had to pop into the menus to adjust the camera settings. That was a bit of a pain. By comparison, the DJI Fly app's design is much more efficient, putting the essential controls in the perfect place. It's honestly one of my favorite features. However, there was still one very essential camera control missing from that corner: white balance. With all the other camera essentials right there on the main screen, it seems ridiculous that you have to go in several menus deep to make a white balance adjustment. And when you do adjust your white balance, you're left with this tiny sliver of screen to try and figure out if your adjustment looks good or not. So I think what DJI needs to do here is put the white balance control down there with the other ones, and then make it a nice little pop-up like shutter speed so you can actually see what you're adjusting. That would be perfect. Now, manual exposure was a big deal for me in this release, but there were also some other changes. 2.7K video gets 24 frames per second, 1080p gets 24 and 48 frames per second, and there were some other stability and bug fixes too. So overall, this is just a really great feature upgrade from DJI, and it makes the Mini just a crazy, crazy good drone at a really inexpensive price point. So big props to DJI for listening to their customers and adding these important features. And that's it for this one, guys. So go update your Minis, get out there, do some flying, have a little bit of fun, test out those new features. And as always, thanks so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.